Hello dear learners, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we will be talking about the Spring architecture. As we all know, Spring architecture is basically a layered architecture, which makes it a really versatile architecture, making it very easy for the developer to choose which particular module it wants to use and which one to leave. It makes each of its modules independent of each other and hence enables the developer to choose, gives the developer a control of what to take and what to not take. Now, basically, the Spring architecture consists of features which are organized into various different modules. There are around 18 different modules, you can say, which are available, which you can use and leverage the benefits of Spring Framework. Now, these modules are grouped into various parts, or you can say various sections, that is the core container, AOP or aspect oriented programming, instrumentation, messaging, data access integration, web, and the test modules. So these are the various modules in which the various features of Spring Framework is grouped, and each module plays a very important role in implementing a particular sort of feature. We will talk about this in detail a little ahead. Also, each of these modules can stand on their own, so they are independent of each other. It is not a mandate to use all of these modules in your particular application. You can choose as a developer which one you want and which one you don't want, and then based on that integrate various modules, so they can jointly work one or two modules together. You can independently also use one. Like for example, in my code, let's say I just want to use the core container, so I'm allowed to use that. Let's say if I want to use just the web, which is the MVC architecture of the Spring MVC part, architecture part of the Spring architecture, I can use just that. So, or I can club. Let's say I want to club the core container and the AOP or the aspect oriented programming part. I can do that also. So that's what the Spring architecture allows us. It gives us the flexibility of mixing and matching various modules with each other, and also making them independent of each other. Okay. So that is what it allows. Now, as you can see here, this is a diagram that we'll be talking about. We'll be seeing about in detail the Spring architecture here. As we have already mentioned earlier that it is divided into various modules. Let's see each and every module here. The first module is basically the core container, which consists of beans, core, context and expression language features. Then it has the AOP module. It has aspect module, which allows us in implementing the aspect J feature. It has instrumentation, it has messaging, which allows us to implement the various messaging APIs. This has been included new post Spring 4. Okay, so please take a note of that. And we have the data access integration module, which has various modules inside it like Jdbc, ORM, OXM, Jms, transactions. We have the web or MVC remoting, or we also called as the Spring MVC architecture or the Spring MVC module, which has web servlet, portlet and web socket support. And finally, we have the test module, which helps us in various testing implementations using JUnit and stuff. So let's go in detail and understand each of these individual modules. To start with the core container. So the core container consists of the beans module, core module, context module and the expression language module. So these are the four important modules that it has, and the core container is like the base of the whole Spring thing, working. We also will be talking about the concept called as inversion of control or dependency injection, which also falls under the various APIs which are implemented in the core container. So this works like the base to it. Okay. Now the core and the beans module here that you see provide the fundamental parts of the framework. As I said earlier, the core and the bean is going to be the fundamental parts of the framework. That is what the whole framework is going to get based on, okay, conceptually, right? And it also allows us in implementing the various IOC and dependency injection features. In a future video, we will be talking about IOC and dependency injection. How are they same? How are they different? What exactly do they mean? We'll be talking about it in future video. Going further, the context module is used basically like a JNDI registry. The way through a JNDI registry you can find a particular node, okay, in a framework style manner, you can also find objects here, or you can get access to various objects using the context module. We'll talk about this also in a future video. Then we have expression language, which allows you to query the various objects and manipulate them, manipulate them in an object graph at runtime and use them in your code. So that's basically expression language. It allows you in querying and manipulating various objects. Basically, that is what it means. Going further, talking about the Aop module. So the Spring Aop module provides an aspect-oriented programming implementation, allowing you to define method interceptors, point cuts, and cleanly decouple your code. Now there's a lot of stuff that we are talking about here. In simple terms, if I have to talk about Aop is a better way of implementing object-oriented programming, or in fact you can say this is the most righteous way of implementing object-oriented programming. Again, aspect-oriented programming is something we will talk at a stretch about, but yes, it is it primarily focuses on two things. One is loose coupling and high cohesion. So these are again two important concepts of object-oriented programming also, but when I talk about Spring Aop, it rightly implements the concept that I said, that loose coupling and high cohesion. So that's what Aop primarily plays a role. Again, it is a very important approach that we are going to learn at the aspect-oriented programming here with Spring. Again, one of the very important and core concepts of Spring, on which Spring is completely based on. So we will be talking about it at a stretch later. Going further, we talk about the aspect. Again, aspect or Spring Aspects is a module which allows us to integrate with the Aspect J, which is also an implementation of the aspect-oriented programming, which is created at Park, for the Java programming language. So again, Aspect J, you can say, is an implementation of the concept of aspect-oriented programming. So Spring provides you a set of APIs which you can use to implement the concept of aspect-oriented programming. It has its own implementation, which is there in the Aop. You can also use the Aspect J implementation. So you can see there are two different implementations which are supported here. One is the Aop implementation and the Aspect implementation. Going further, we have the Instrumentation module, which allows you in providing the class instrumentation support. Now, what exactly is class instrumentation support? Basically, instrumentation allows you in adding additional logic to your code through the help of which you can, have various features implemented, like the performance of your application, or you can even have some other, class loader implementations which you can use, which helps in improving the way a particular project is running in an application server. So improving the, overall project is what, instrumentation provides you a help with. And we'll also talk about this in detail in a future video. So I'm just giving you an overview of what exactly it is here. Going further, this is a newer module which is being introduced, that is the messaging application. As you can see, post Spring 4 it was being included, and it serves as a foundation for the messaging based applications. So whenever you have a queue based messaging, or you have a peer to point to point messaging, this messaging module can be used for that. It also includes a set of annotations which you can use to map messages to a specific method. So you the way you have various annotations implemented to a method, you can have annotations which helps in mapping a specific message to a particular method, which you can then use in your code. So that's what it does. Going further, talking about the data access or integration module, it has Jdbc, as you can see, ORM, OXM. Jdbc is Java database connectivity, ORM is object relational mapping, OXM is object XML mapping, JMS is Java messaging service. Again, this was a previous implementation of the messaging thing that you saw here, and transactions. So the first module, that is the Spring Jdbc module, it provides you a layer which helps you in removing the need of writing that Jdbc code that we used to write, the whole set of connecting to the database, and then writing a statement and having a result set and then printing that result, and then so all those nitty-gritty that was there in writing a Jdbc code is completely eliminated with this Spring Jdbc module, and it makes it very simple to implement it. Okay, even the error implementation or the exception handling has been improved here, which was a problem when it came to the original JDBC, because everything there was a SQL exception, which is not the case here. We have more database vendor specific error codes which we can use to further make it more readable, the exception handling. So that's there. The Spring transaction module that you see here is basically to support programmatic and declarative transaction management, and it is implemented in a very simple manner for all your POJOs. POJOs is basically plain old Java objects, that is simple plain Java class. So you can implement transactions at method level here for your classes or for your POJOs, basically is what transaction module does. Again, this transaction implementation can be programmatic or it can be declarative. Declarative here means either through an XML file or through annotations you can implement it. So that's what declarative means here. Going further, the Spring ORM module helps you in integrating the various ORM APIs that we have, or the object relational mapping APIs that we have, like we have JPA into picture, we have Hibernate into picture. There are other various different such ORM modules which you can use and integrate it with Spring. Going further, the OXM module provides you a way to integrate the Object XML implementation. One of the implementations that we have of Object XML is JAXB, which you can use. This is primarily used when you want to convert XML and object, vice versa, object to XML or XML to object and vice versa. So that's the Spring OXM module. Again, we will be talking about each of these modules in detail in future. Going further, the Jms module, it provides you a feature for producing and consuming messages. Basically, the JMS that we have, the Java messaging service, which was there earlier, it's an implementation for that. The web basically has two primary modules, the Spring Web and the Spring Web MVC module. The Spring Web module basically helps you in implementing various features like uploading a multi-part file, or initializing the IOC container for various listeners, so implementing the various listeners through which you can react at a particular point in your web server, in the life cycle of your web application, and also have some web oriented application context so that you can leverage the features of object pooling and stuff. Also, the Spring MVC module, again this is like the most popular module that you will see of the Spring Web MVC module, which helps you in implementing the model view controller architecture, or you can say the pattern, the model view controller pattern. And also it allows you in implementing the REST web services, again which is one of the most popular implementations these days. You will see everyone talking about REST web services and the Spring MVC. And how to implement it and how to use it in your code and how it helps you in improving your code. So that's basically the whole Spring Web MVC and the Spring Web modules. The Spring MVC Web module is also known as the Web Servlet part of it. It also has a little implementation of the portlet. We'll talk about it in a later video. So these are the various implementations of web, the Spring Web and the Spring Web MVC. Again, we have a detailed, we'll be having detailed videos on these concepts further. So stay tuned for all that. Finally, the last module that we have here is the test module. The Spring Test module again supports unit testing and integration testing implementations using, you can use components like JUnit or TestNG and have the testing implementations done. So again, as you can see, as a whole, Spring allows you to implement absolutely everything which is needed for a whole enterprise level application end to end, from the core implementations to the web implementations, testing, and even the way the whole core concepts are implemented are much more better, or you can say more righteously implemented through Spring. So yes, we will be talking about each of these in stretch in a future video. And we will also be talking about concepts like inversion of control and dependency injection in a future video. And we will be very importantly talking about the Spring Maven dependency. We will also come to a video, we'll have a video that talks about what exactly is Maven and how Spring and Maven integrate with each other. So that is it for today's video. As I have said earlier, these are going to be real crisp and short videos. So that is it for today. Thank you. Bye-bye. Please subscribe to my channel. If you like my videos, please hit the like button and provide or give your comments on my videos. Give comments to my videos, or you can even ask questions. You can email us, you can follow us on Instagram, or you can even join our Telegram groups. That is it for today. Thank you. Bye-bye.